You just started?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I suppose first off I'd just like to say thanks for sponsoring Polar Academy and being a great help. And the talk I'll be giving you today, it's going to be the same as the ones I did at the schools I was at, just so you can see what we were doing and you can have the background and everything that I've done. So first I'll just start what it was like before the Polar Academy, like before I even heard about it. So before the Polar Academy, I barely said like a few words every day, like not more than 5 or something. And during school I was the same, never raised my hand to ask questions or never talked to the teachers for help. And because of that, I fell behind with my schoolwork and all my homework. And I know the Polar Academy's changed me, but I'm getting emotional here and nervous because my mum's here.
You need to go in the other room, right? Sorry.
And I had a good relationship with my friends and family, but still, I didn't get any of my opinions or any words across because I was too shy and I don't have any confidence. And even in a group like this I would get nervous. And going on to when I first heard about the Polar Academy, it was one of my teachers actually. I'd read about it in the newspaper. And he was the one that kind of got the ball rolling. And he went to the head teacher, then came to me to go to a meeting with Craig. And at that meeting I was told to go with my mum and my dad. And there at the meeting Craig told us what the Polar Academy was, what he'd done and what he does with young adults, and also about the first expedition he led. And when you hear something like that, you don't believe it, and you can't think that that's possible. So going away from that meeting, I think me, my mum and my dad all thought that it would be amazing if like I was to get picked for something like that. But personally I didn't think that was going to happen. And about a week later, my teacher came back to me and said that there was a meeting that happened but nobody told me about it. And that was to see who would go on to the next stage to have an interview with Craig. And I'm pretty sure the teachers forgot about me at that meeting, and luckily I still got picked going to the next stage. And the one-on-one interview with Craig, I remember thinking that it was going to be like a job interview, like if you had the right skills and requirements you wanted for the expedition. But when I got there, it was nothing like that. And I remember I was extremely nervous going into it, and as soon as I got there, I wasn't, because the first thing Craig said to me was, that feeling you feel now, I don't want you to ever feel it again. So, sorry Craig, because I'm feeling it. And the questions he asked me in that interview were just things like, how's your life going? How's school? And I actually can't remember the answers I told him or any of the other questions. And about an hour after the interview I got called back up and he told me that I was going to the selection weekend. What use of them? Some place.
You probably did better than we did that weekend.
Yeah. And it was a great feeling that I'd been picked to be one of the 4 to go to the selection weekend out of around 30 just from that school.
Yeah, yeah.
And going to the selection weekend, I can't remember if Craig told us before or when we got there what we were doing, but as you know, the things we were doing was getting flipped over in a kayak and tying knots underwater, rock climbing and canoeing. I don't know if you've done orienteering in the dark, but we had to do
Not in the dark.
We did it. Yeah, we did it during the daytime.
Yeah, I did it during the
It was
day.
hard enough, I suppose.
and that was just on the one day.
Yeah.
It drags on.
We got a chance to drag tyres as well, which was that put everybody to shame. Tyre dragging.
We had to do that for like training, like before the expedition.
Yeah.
We done that 3 times.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures in St Andrews, wasn't it? Dragging the tyres on.
But anyway, back to selection weekend. I remember when everybody first heard about getting flipped over underwater in the time knots in the kayak, and everybody seemed like to be quite estranged by it and didn't really know why he was doing that. But I didn't really worry about it until I was the one getting flipped over in the kayak. But because my dad was came with me for the selection weekend, it was funny seeing him getting flipped over because he never really gets anything bad happen, like things like that happen to him. So that was quite a memorable moment. And it was that was the first thing we done that weekend, and then we moved on to the canoeing. And I think the canoeing was probably the easiest part of the weekend because it was fun as well, because it was just doing different.
Out in the lock.
It was just canoeing in different ways, like standing
Yeah, it was good for me.
facing each other. So yeah, it was the funnest. And after that, we were at the climbing wall. And even though like you could survive if you jumped off, it was still scary for me because I don't like heights. So it was easy to climb up, but once we had to rappel back down, it must have took me about 5 minutes to do that, but eventually I did do it. And after dinner, we went on to do the orienteering in the dark. And I thought it was quite easy because I take geography in school, so I already knew quite a bit about like looking around at the landscape and then look at the map and seeing where you are from that. And yes, so that took us around half an hour, and then we went to bed. And the next day was the hardest day of the weekend, even though it started off easy, because we done the hill walk. I'm not sure, did you spell that? You went around is it the Green Rock?
Yeah, up to the bothy.
Yeah.
And then did you go up the hill, up and then back round again?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we done. And after that, we had a quick lunch break, and then we had to do the hardest part, which was giving the presentation in front of around 30 people in a big sort of auditorium thing. And that was very tough because that was the first time I've ever like given a presentation like that before. And I remember when we got back from the hill walking, my deputy head teacher was there, and he came over and went, "Okay, Andy, are you ready for this?" And I was like, "Who's Andy?" And he's like, "Oh, sorry, Ryan." And then like, so that was a massive confidence boost there. And I didn't use him as an example, although I wish I had now. But in the presentation, I did say, yeah, it does happen used to happen all the time in school. Like nobody knew who I was. And that presentation that was actually a lot harder than doing it in front of the like 500 kids at the school, just because it was the first time. And I remember I was standing, instead of standing in the middle, I was standing like out that door. If this was the stage, I would stand at the side, so nobody could see me or hear me. So I don't think they actually heard anything that I said then, but it still gave a round of applause and stuff, and I found that strange at the time. But thankfully Craig heard me because he was sitting right at the front, and he asked me a few questions, and it was mostly like what I planned to do, like, because it was more like what I was planning to do in life. So I said that I was probably going to go to university and study chemical engineering, but now I've got no idea what I want to do, because I just change my mind all the time. And I remember after it took me around half an hour to stop shaking, and I was glad that it was over though, because it was very tough, and that was the end of the selection process. And when Craig was telling people who got picked and who didn't, he told everyone that was picked to go to his house, but nobody knew that they were picked at the time. So where everybody that was going on the expedition was at his house, but nobody knew that they were picked, so everyone was still really nervous. I think that was just a sick joke of his. And
Give it like that, Craig.
it was good though, because when me and my dad got there, we got called in first, like straight away, and the first thing he told us was that I was picked to go on the expedition. And a phenomenal feeling just came over at that moment, and I can't remember anything Craig said after that, because I was just thinking about how I got picked for the expedition. And after that we went on to start our training, and the main sort of training that we done was our weekly training, and for us, for me it was on Tuesdays. And that training was mostly just circuit training, so just mainly cardio and doing different exercises, like one after the other. And I found that it was good because it helped maintain our fitness levels and improve it slowly. So it was kind of a warm up for the dragging tyres that Craig was going to do with us later. And the main sort of skills training that we done was when we went to Laganmere, and that was for a week in October. And it was there that we practiced putting up the tents, using the stoves, and putting up the polar bear fence. So like using the shotgun shells correctly and everything. And the main part of that weekend for the expedition team was having a mini expedition in the Cairngorms. And it was there that we would practice everything that we would be doing in Greenland. So eating the same foods, which was terrible, and doing like the same teamwork and putting up tents and collecting water, boiling that for the food, and that was great. And I remember in the afternoon coming back from climbing the third highest Munro in the UK, we saw a huge herd of deer just ran like straight through our camp as we were walking down this hill. And Craig told us a story about I think it was old Celts or something. It was an old Scottish tribe, and they used to be able to run after a deer and catch up to it, which is, it probably isn't true, but it's just an old story that he told us. And once I arrived home, I had a massive sleep, and I still couldn't believe that it was real. That I was going to be going on the expedition, and I stayed that way until I was on the plane going to Greenland. And after the October week and after Christmas, that was when we started the hard endurance training with the tyres and going to St Andrews and stuff. So the first endurance training we done was the hardest because it was the biggest shock to our bodies, and it was only for 20 kilometres, and that was
Only.
well compared to the rest. And yeah, the first one we done, I think it was the best scenic wise, but it was the hardest physically, and because it was best scenic wise because it was completely grey, and it was not if you look at photos, it's not because of camera effects, like that's how it was, like because of the grey clouds and the snow and then the lake, it was all just completely grey. It looks fantastic. And I think the first one was hardest, as I say, because of the shock to the body, and I don't think any of us were expecting it to be that hard. And I think Craig told us he got voted for the hardest training for kids in the UK, so that's probably why he gets that. And the second endurance training was the longest, and that was 30 kilometres. And when we were doing the endurance training, we had 5 tyres, and there was 4 of us, so we each took turns on the 2 tyres. And I remember you couldn't talk after you had those 2 tyres. Even if you wanted to, you wouldn't be able to. You could hardly breathe after dragging those 2 tyres, especially up hills, and when it collected the sand at St Andrews.
Yeah, key, that's a long way to
Yeah,
to the shops and back.
It doesn't feel like it will.
Yeah.
Because if you're just looking at the ground going like this,
Yeah,
It
it's
just-
a rhythm.
it just flies by. Yeah. And St Andrews was definitely hardest, even though it was only for 8 kilometres. It was hardest because we done the Blood Eagle, and because of the sand it would build up in the tyres. That's my phone not on silent. And when we were doing the Blood Eagle, if you look up the Blood Eagle on the internet, it's an old Viking ritual where the chief of the village would be sacrificed to go into their heaven, which is Valhalla, and the ritual is that he would have his back cut open, his ribs torn back, and his heart ripped out while he's still alive, and if he screams he can't get into heaven. And Craig's version of that is that he would tie all 5 tyres together and then clip them onto everyone that was there, and then we would have to do the same with what we just done with 1 tyre, but where it was all together. So, and that was to encourage teamwork, because if one guy slacks off, that's a whole load of weight on the other 3 wheelers. And that was the hardest of all the training that we done, because of the weight of all the tyres, and then the sand building up on that, it was like an extra 3 tyres, because the sand goes inside and around it. And that was the last of the training we done, and as we got closer to the expedition, we practiced putting up the tents and putting up the stoves again, just so it was fresh in our minds. And that takes me on to the expedition. And I remember when I was doing the school talks, when I first wrote it up, I was just saying what happened day to day, how far we went and stuff. But I decided that was a bit boring, so instead I just wanted to do like stories and stuff, like the main things that happened on the expedition. So when we were at the Glasgow airport, when we were about to leave, there was a bunch of press there, and they wanted to take, I think, around 10,000 photos or something. Because we must have sat in the same place in a row for like half an hour. And the guy that was taking the photos would take like hundreds, and then he'd come over, move like Craig's hat a tiny bit, take another 100, move another tiny bit, like tuck someone's shoelaces in. Just tiny little bits. And so once he finally went away, we got on the plane, and I always just fall straight asleep on the plane, so not much I can tell you about the plane. And but once we got to Iceland, it's not what you expect. It's not covered in ice. It's mostly just bare rocks because of all the volcanic activity and stuff. That's what Craig said. And I remember on the coach ride we were going to Reykjavik, which is the capital of Iceland, and it's very small. Like, they've just started building skyscrapers there, so it looks big from far away, but once you get in the middle of it, it's tiny. Like, if you get in the middle, it's like a few skyscrapers and it stops. But I'm sure there was more to it than what we see. But we stayed at a youth hostel just outside of it. And thank God Craig, who was another boy who was going on the expedition, brought cards with him, otherwise we would have done nothing. And
lose any money?
well, I'm lucky we didn't. There was actually a story I've got for you, like when we're coming back from Greenland with one of the natives there. And so yeah, when we were leaving for Kulisuk, which is an island just outside of Greenland, and it's part of Greenland though, and we left on a much smaller plane. It was a propeller one, and again fell asleep, so not much then. But once we arrived at Kulisuk airport, it's tiny. It's like a very small runway, and then it's the main airport's probably not much bigger than this office. And it was good there because there was a small takeaway inside, so we got all the chips and the hot dogs and stuff. And then we were getting a helicopter into Taslak, which is the capital of Greenland. And the helicopter ride makes you feel like you're in a movie or something. I don't know if anyone here has been in a helicopter, but it feels epic.
Anyone been in a helicopter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you
It
are.
feels good.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a great film.
And then I actually sat like, instead of the 2 rows of seats you get in the middle, there was like 2 seats like just at the door, so you could see like. So basically, this is one of the seats, and then the door's here. And there's a window, so I would sit next, getting all the good views. Where if you sat in the middle of the seats, you're not going to see anything. And I remember the best view I seen from the helicopter was the ocean coming in over the ice. So it was like the ocean just stopped and then there was ice. That was the best view I seen. And also the big chunks of ice in the ocean. It's really cool. And so once we got to Taslak, it's quite barren again. It's just like huts, and it's like small kind of bungalow houses, and their main mode of transport there is what's the name? Snowmobiles. They use snowmobiles, or they walk. Like just if they're in Taslak, they walk around, but if they're going to a different like village or that, they use snowmobiles. And their main roads there are just tracks in the snow. So that was pretty strange that there's no roads. And when we stayed at another youth hostel there, and we stayed with a guy called it's the same name as a beer, That's how I remember it. It's Peroni.
Peroni.
So we stayed with Peroni, and you could tell Craig looked up to him because Peroni's quite a quiet guy, but he's done like loads in the outdoor community, because he was the first person to cross the Greenlandic ice sheet, which is the main part of Greenland on a map. It's a huge chunk, and then to the right it's the main towns. And he was the first person to cross that, and he's done loads of firsts in Greenland, and he's getting on a bit now. So I think he settled down and opened a youth hostel, and I think he lets Craig stay there for free every year with the Polar Academy, which is really good. And I remember the first day we set off. It was quite strange because it was so easy, because we were on skis, so it made it 10 times easier than we were walking. So we were just skiing along, going 10 miles per hour or something, with a 45 kilo sledge on our back. And then the easiest parts were when we were crossing over frozen lakes, because they were completely flat. And when we were crossing over the hills, we had to take our skis off, so that made it 10 times harder, because we would take the full weight of the sledge, and that's basically try to pull us down the mountain. And the first day when we set up camp, it took us around half an hour to set up all the tents, just because we hadn't done it in a while. But the next day it took us 10 minutes, and then the next day 5 minutes. Just because we knew what we were doing then. And I think I remember actually when we just arrived from Taslak, when Craig and the rest of the adults were getting our gear together off the helicopters and stuff. Nigel took us out and was teaching us how to ski, and I was the worst skier there, because I must have fell around 25 times in the first hour, and compared to everyone else it's quite huge, because I think the most someone fell closest to me was 4. So I was pretty bad at skiing, and I think through the total of me falling through the expedition, it must be about 87 times compared to the last person, which was 22. But the good thing is that Nigel, who's supposed to be the best skier there, I've seen him fall, which is unheard of apparently. And he still denies it to this day. And after the first few days, and he seen me fall a couple of loads of times, he was I asked him, Nigel, do you ever fall? He's like, falling? What was that? And then the next day I seen him fall, I was like, that's what it is. And then I think the highlight of the expedition was after we crossed the glacier that we had to cross, which was actually the hardest part of the expedition. We set up camp next to us, a small slope, and we turned that into a ski slope, and we done what you would think of skiing, where it's the downhill skiers. And I was still scared to do it because I'd fallen so many times, and I regret that now, because I only went down twice, whereas everyone else went down tens of times. But it was still the funnest, even though I only done it a few times. And also at that campsite we had to dig a latrine, where we would do the toilet, and it's a long trough, and we also had to build a wall. But there was this big boulder, and Craig's instead of building a wall, why don't we just do it behind the boulder? So I was like, okay. So me and Scott, who's another boy in the expeditions, we had to take our sledges and that, and we just went off just with our skis, and that was a lot easier. Got about the same speed as a car, because we also used wax on our skis instead of skins, and that made it like light across the snow. So yeah, it's pretty cool knowing we've like the farthest north in the Scots.
That's cool.
Because Craig was saying the last expedition he done, instead of going across the glacier, he went left over to the sea ice. But he thought we were strong enough to just keep going over the glacier. We went up to Tinnatarlac, I think it's called, which is it's a small hunting community, and we went just outside of there. And then we headed back, and we got back so fast that we had to camp outside for an entire day, just outside of Tasselac, because we were that quick getting back, and the hotel wasn't ready for us. But once we got into the hotel, our flights were actually delayed, and I'm actually really glad that happened, because I probably had the best meal ever. Because what we had was, well, to start with, it was terrible, because we had the delicacy, which is like a delicacy in Greenland, which is it's like the fat, it's like stomach lining, like the inside of a whale's stomach. It was the fat there, and that was like, it's like my mum's favourite blue cheese, but it's really chewy. So it's like your chewed old socks.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah. So good thing is we got bread with it though, so I just put it all in bread and swallowed it. And then, but after that we had the main course, and that was, again, it was whale, but it was actual meat, and the texture, it was sort of like pulled pork, like it was really sort of soft, and we had a really good garlicky sauce on it as well, and it's especially good because you've just been eating freeze-dried powdery stuff for the past 10 days, and then you come back to have real meat, it was amazing. And then on the way back again we had the helicopter ride, and we planned actually to like have a meal in Iceland, because the flights were cancelled for that day. We basically left in the morning, and once we got back you could hear all the parents cheering like from a corridor down in the airport, and I was one of the last to come out, and it's quite a strange feeling when you see your parents for the first time in like 2 weeks once you've been away abroad, and you don't really know what to say. You're right.
I'm still alive.
But yeah, again there was some press there, but it was a lot better than it was before. Then we all left and went home, slept for 10 days. And the Polo Academy's changed me, because obviously I'm here talking now, even though I was nervous to start with, I can still do it, and I talked to over 500 people at Portobello and the whole school at Castlebury, so it's changed me by that, and whereas before I'd barely say a few words a day, and I never stop doing my mum's head in.
Well, I certainly think that's a great achievement. I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
And no doubt it's boosted your confidence tremendously,
Yeah.
even listening to you talking.
And
It's great.
also it gave me confidence in my like life choices, because now I'm planning to be the youngest Scot to climb Mount Everest.
Very good.
And now we can watch the video. That's it.
Well done.
No, I never even saw a stadium when I was in.
When they were in the Euros, they were all team.
The Viking one, is
Oh,
that
they
the
were
national?
in.